Hey Yogi, welcome to class. If you are new to the channel, I'm usually accompanied by one or two basset hounds, both of whom are out of shot sunbathing, having their mid-morning snooze, and the sun is shining in on their bed. So you've just got me today. And if you are returning to the channel, welcome back. I'm stoked you've come back to practice with me. So before we get into it, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do. It just helps me to grow my tiny little spot in the YouTube universe. If you make it to the end of the practice and you enjoy it, then give the video a like and leave me a comment. Let me know what you would like to see on the channel or just how it went for you. If you want to tag me on Instagram as you're moving through the practice, then you can find me at the handle @Riri's Yoga Channel. Okay, all that stuff out of the way. So for today's class, I've got quite a few props, all of which can be switched out for other things. So don't worry if you're not kind of like someone with lots of yoga props, you can switch them out. So I've got a blanket, which is, just a regular blanket. I've also got a bolster, which we're only going to use at the end. So if you don't have the bolster, there's no real sweat about that. However, you could easily switch that out with, just a few pillows, or a sofa cushion would be good, or just some cushions that you can stack up. And then 2 blocks. If you don't have blocks, then we're not going to use them for massive amounts of stuff, so maybe just a few thick books might be a good substitute. So with that being said, let's begin. If you've got a blanket, I'm going to take my blanket and sit on it. It just really helps me get up and over my hips if I have them slightly elevated. And then we're going to cross the legs here. So come into an easy seat, Sukhasana. So letting the legs cross kind of at the shins, halfway up the shins, so that your feet are sort of underneath your knees. So really sit tall on your sit bones. Find a place where you can feel lifted. If the blanket doesn't feel like it's enough for you to feel up and on top of yourself, then pop a block under you. The hands can just fall wherever they will fall. We'll close down the eyes or take a soft gaze and take a few breaths here just to arrive at our practice. Whatever time of day this is for you, whether this is something you're doing after movement, before movement, or the main movement. Let's just take a few moments to appreciate that we have this practice. Start to notice your breath. Taking long inhales through the nose, followed by long exhales. As you inhale, feel maybe the cold or cooler air come just above where that space between your lip and your nostril. And then as you exhale the air out, feel the warmth of it. And really focus your attention to that space above your lip and under your nostril where that air flows. Allow your shoulders to gently just fall down and away from your ears, moving down your back. Take 2 more breaths here at your own pace. Nice. Blink the eyes open if they were closed. On your next inhale, reach your arms up and above your head. Feel like your side body is just growing a little bit taller here. As you exhale, start to fold forward, hinging from your hips. Let your hands meet the mat or even blocks. So if taking the hands all the way down to the mat feels like it's too far away, feel free to pop a block underneath you. The key here that I want you to think about is the hinging from the hips. So you want to feel like you're really spilling your hip points forward to the mat, so your tailbone is really flicking up and behind you. Come down as low as feels good for the back to stay, you know, pretty neutral. So if you feel like you're really hunched in your back, pop some blocks underneath you. That's what they're there for. Start to feel that leverage of your upper body over your hips, just gently guiding them to open, giving you a little bit more space to play with. Feel free to keep walking the fingertips out as you fold over, but just make sure your sit bones stay grounded. So if they start to lift, just push into the fingers, push back onto them. Nice. Walk the hands in. Sit up. Take the hands behind you and uncross and recross the legs. So take whatever leg you had in front first, switch it. And you'll know because it'll feel really awkward. So this is my you will have gone with your instinctive side first. So you'll know when you change the cross. And try and get a nice true cross again, like we did at the beginning. Inhale, sit long and tall, reach the arms up, lift your gaze. Exhale, start to fold over. Again, the blocks are more than welcome here. Keep grounding into your sit bones. Sending breath, or sending an intention of breath into the places that maybe need it. The outer hips. Slowly walk back up, hands in front of you, and then take the hands behind you so that you can release the legs, coming into this bear sit here. So sit really up onto your sit bones and keep the hands behind you if needed. You're going to take the take the knees and cross them or let them fall side to side. So like windscreen wiper legs. And you can kind of go one at a time, keeping the torso really strict facing the top of the mat. Or if it feels nice, you could release the arms, maybe sway from side to side, let the body turn as the knees are falling one way. It's your call, your practice. You just want to feel like we're kind of getting into the hips a little bit, but gently. So we're just lubricating them up, oiling them up. Nice. Come back to center. I'm going to come off my blanket just so I can open it up, just to add a little bit of softness and padding to the knees. Totally optional, but it might feel nice to just have the blanket in the middle of your mat for the practice. And then from here we'll come into a tabletop, setting up for cat-cow. So gripping the mat with your fingers. On your inhale, lift your tailbone high, send your chest through your arms, reach your heart up. On your exhale, push back into cat pose, chin to chest, puffing through the shoulders. Inhale, rolling through into cow. Feel the spine moving. And exhale, tailbone tucking under, chin to chest. Inhale, roll it through. Exhale, wave it back. One more just like that. Inhale, through to cow, lift your heart. And exhale, push back to cat. Nice. From here, tuck your toes under and lift your hips up. Come into a downward facing dog. Nice. Feel free to walk this dog out a little bit, pedaling through the feet, swaying the hips from side to side. And then when you find some stillness, pop a bend in the knees and let the tailbone really lift up. feel like your hip points are spilling down towards the mat as your tailbone is really reaching up to the sky. And then squeeze lightly as if you're squeezing your armpits together, just to give you that lovely opening through the upper arms. From here, lift your right leg up into a 3-leg dog. Bend your left knee and travel forward. Take your right foot outside your right hand. And then drop your back knee down. Coming into a lizard pose here. So you can stay upright on the hands, or you could come down onto the forearms. Or you could pop your block and come down onto the block with the forearms. So that's what I'm going to do today, just because it's kind of a little bit more intense than staying upright, but it's not as intense as having my forearms directly on the mat. Try and keep your spine nice and long here. So if you feel like you're really rounded, either add more props to lift you or come onto your hands to lift you. So you want to keep the spine, or we're looking to keep the spine, nice and neutral, not too much flexion at this point. Nice. From here, plant the hands if they were not. Tuck the back toes and send your right foot back to meet your left. Back into down dog. Lift the left leg, 3-leg dog. And then as you bend that right and left knee, travel forward, left foot outside of your left hand. Burley's not happy about something. Untuck the back toes. And we're coming down into that lizard again. So on your blocks or onto your mat, your call. Keep sending your attention to your breath. Just as we were at the beginning, feeling the breath move in and out of the nostrils. Make that your focus. Slowly plant the palms if they were not. And then tuck the back toes. Send your left foot back to meet your right. Down dog. The right leg will lift, 3-leg dog. This time we'll bend the right knee and take some nice circles through the hips here. So really try to find each part of the circle. So not skipping any of it, not rushing it. And then take the circle the other way. Opening and closing through that joint, feeling the femur, the top of the femur, roll around in the socket. Nice. And then from here, pushing off that left foot, step your right foot outside your right hand again and come back down. Back into your lizard. Hands on the blocks, or on the mat, or on a bolster. You've got choices, use them. Use them to support the body in the practice. Feel any sensation in that right hip as you start to lower closer to the earth. Nice. From here, planting your left hand and then reaching your right arm up and back, taking a nice opening here through the right side. On the exhale, plant your right hand, tuck your back toes and work to lift the hips, straightening or working to straighten through both legs into a modified pyramid. You can pull the toes back towards the shins if that feels good. Replant that right foot, so bend the right knee, and then spring off your back foot to take your left foot outside your left hand. Grab your block or your bolster, and then take the block on its kind of middle height so that you can come down and sit on it into a nice passive squat, supported. So allow your arms to go on the inside of your thighs just to really encourage the hips to open. Sitting nice and tall. Notice if you kind of don't usually find this length through the spine in your passive squat. If you kind of sometimes feel like this, hopefully the block is maybe helping to lift you. And if you don't usually get your feet to the mat, notice how it feels now with the block there, allowing you to ground the feet. Nice. From here, your left arm is going to go over and around the front of your left shin, so your right arm can reach up and take a nice gentle twist here. Keep opening that right knee away from you to keep the right hip from closing. Nice. Exhale, switch the sides. The right fingertips will go around the outside of the right shin. The left arm is going to reach up and over the head. Feeling long through the left side, from the left hip to the left fingertips. Keep working, keep fighting to keep that left hip open. And then slowly come back to the center. Lift your hips off your block. Plant your hands. Send your left foot back. Send your right foot back, come into down dog. From here, lift your left leg high and then bend the knee so you can open the hip, take in some hip circles on this side. So just notice where you're trying to maybe rush the circles. Make sure to take them both ways. If you're like me, you might be feeling a few click, clack, pops here. That's fine. Just work through them. You're just lubricating through this hip joint. And then slowly push off that right foot to allow the left foot to come on the outside of your left hand. Drop your left knee down. Come into that supported lizard lunge. So maybe you want to take a bolster or a block. But you're going to place the forearms down or you're going to stay up onto the hands. It's totally your call. Feel like you could open more through that right hip flexor, the front of the right hip. And just feel like that left hip could just move away from you a little bit more. Come off the block if you're on it. And plant your right hand down. As you inhale, sweep your left arm up and over so you can open up to the left side. As you exhale, plant the left hand back down, tuck the back toes, and come into that modified pyramid. So you don't need to straighten both legs, you're just working to lift the hips, and if the legs are straight, great. If not, you can pop a soft bend through the knee, back knee or front knee. Totally your call. Rebend the front knee, spring off the right foot, come into that passive squat again. So you're going to get your block or your prop and pop your butt onto it. Sitting up nice and tall here. We're going to be here for a few breaths. Feel the hips open. Feel the spine be nice and long here as you reach through the crown of your head. Nice. From here, lift your butt off your prop and then come back down into an unsupported passive squat. And just notice if all that time sitting on the block has allowed you to keep the spine long, maybe longer than you usually are in this place. If the soles of the feet do not go to the earth, then what you're going to do is you're going to grab your blanket and you're going to fold it up and put your heels on the blanket and then come down. So the blanket is just going to allow the heels to find something. So keep rolling the blanket up until it does. If the heels land to the floor without the blanket, then you can stay where you are. That's totally fine. Feel that cool air on the inhale as it comes above the top of your lip. Feel the gentle warming of the air as it leaves your nostrils. Nice. Wherever you are, so if you're at the top or the middle of the mat, you're going to lower your butt to the mat. If you were at the top of the mat, come to kind of more of the middle and fold your blanket up like I've got it here so that your seat is elevated slightly. Nice. We're going to just work that out. So take the hands behind you and again let the knees just fall from side to side. Noticing how the hips feel after all that attention in passive squat. And then send the legs long. So make sure that you are really nice up and on top of yourself. So if you want to double fold or fold the blanket more here, we're going to come into a forward fold, and it always feels nice for me anyway to forward fold with the hips on top of something. So flex the toes, pull them back towards the heels strongly. Reach your arms up, grow tall. And then on your exhale, folding over, Paschimottanasana. You can take the peace fingers, wrap them around the big toe and use that to pull you deeper into the forward fold. Or you could take this more passively and just let the head kind of fall down, let the back go into a little bit of spinal flexion. You could bend the knees as much as you like to get that hinge from the belly to the thighs. If you can keep the belly connected without bending the knees, that's cool, but you know, it's always an option to bend the knees there. On your next inhale, make your way back up. Nice. Take your left foot and plant the sole of the foot on the inside of the right thigh, setting up for Janushya Shasana. If this knee is really lifted, feel free to pop a block there. You want to feel like you're sending the knee away from you, so the block might give you something to aim for. Flexing the right toes. Inhaling, the arms will come up. The side body is reaching long. And then exhale, going for the foot or maybe the ankle. Wherever you land is fine. Just feel like you're, again, really hinging over the right thigh. So you want to kind of have the bottom of the right side of your belly touching the right thigh here, as much as possible. Next inhale, come up. And we're going to move into a baby grasshopper. So I'm just going to turn around so that you can see this a bit easier. So you've got your right leg long. You're going to take your left foot and cross it over. So as you cross it over, it's probably going to want to point kind of somewhere, you know, on the diagonal. So we're going to turn the whole body to face. For you, it will be the right side, and the left toes are then going to turn so that they're facing the right side as well. So the whole body is now facing the right side. So you're not sitting on both butt cheeks here, you're sitting on the right one. As in the right butt cheek, not you've got the right one. And then you're going to reach the left arm up, plant the right hand just outside of you, and then leaning forward, see if you can catch the left hand onto the right foot or the right toes. And this may be enough here, just feeling out what this left hip says about this. Or you could lift the right foot up into your left hand, plant your right hand and lift your butt, leaning forward, coming into this little baby grasshopper here, feeling really deep hip flexion on that left hip. And then slowly release. Nice. Uncross the legs, setting up for the second side. I can face the right way now or face the way I was. So from here, your left leg will go long. You can still be on the blanket. It's nice sometimes to just help you get up and over. And then the right sole of foot comes to the left thigh. Right knee falls out. Use the block if you need to, if the right knee feels like it's really high. And then inhale, arms up, side body long. Exhale, fold over the left leg. Try and get that connection from like the very base of your left belly or side to the left hip here. Slowly come up or stay there if the grasshopper is like of no interest to you. Draw the right knee in and then send the right foot over the left thigh. Again, now you're going to turn the whole body to the left so that you have the movement to allow the right foot to go completely kind of over to the left, so at a right angle to the top of the mat. Reach your right arm up and over that right shin to catch for the right foot. Maybe you're catching the ankle, maybe you're catching the calf, but just feel how it feels here to kind of come into this twisted and very deep kind of flexion. Maybe you want to lift the left foot up by using your right hand to do that, and then plant your left hand and lift up. Lift your butt up. Feeling this deep connection here from the hip to the bottom of the belly. Baby grasshopper. When you've had enough, slowly replant everything and release the legs, give them a shake out. Nice, and then one final pose to finish. So if you are on a hard floor, you could use the blanket to help you go deeper, but it doesn't matter if you're not. So if you're not on a hard floor, just leave your mat as it is and come into it on your mat. If you are on one of these slidey surfaces, like I am, fold your mat up once so that you can then take your blanket to the edge. And then I'm also going to use my bolster, so you could use, as I said, any other type of prop here. And I'm just going to use that to lay flat on or lay out on. So we're coming into a frog pose to finish. So you're going to kind of open your knees really wide from you. So imagine you're trying to do a wide leg straddle, but you've got your knees connected to the floor, and then the feet are going to go point away from you. So right foot pointing away, left foot pointing away. And then if you've got the blanket, you can use that to kind of open you up more, because you'll gently slide away. If you've got the bolster, you can come down onto the bolster. I'm not going to come all the way down just yet because it'll interfere with my mic, but you can just keep sending the knee away from you that's on the blanket. And if the bolster is still too far away, then start to stack under it with blocks. We're going to be here for a little bit, so you want to feel supported. If obviously you can take your chest down to the ground without the bolster, then awesome, do that. But if you need some height, then maybe have a couple of cushions, or even put a couple of blocks under the bolster to bring the bolster up. We want this to feel like a stretch but restorative. And then when you're ready, you're just going to lay down and surrender. Keep trying to flick the tailbone up wherever you ended up going. So this is our final asana for this practice. So I would recommend staying here for maybe 10 to 15 breaths and really allowing the hips to just feel like they're at their real end range passively. And maybe then go into a Shavasana if it feels nice, or potentially just make that your Shavasana for today. This is where I will leave you. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to practice with you here on YouTube, and I look forward to seeing you again on the mat soon. Thank you for practicing with me, and enjoy the rest of your day, Yogi.